There are seasons in life when everything becomes quiet, when your prayers feel like they disappear into the sky, when the doors you expected to open remain closed, and when the people you thought would stay slowly walk away. And in those moments the silence can feel heavier than the noise, because you begin to wonder if God has forgotten you. But the truth is that some of God's greatest work happens in the silent seasons of life. The seasons when nothing seems to be changing, the seasons when you feel like you are waiting while everyone else is moving ahead, because silence does not mean abandonment and waiting does not mean failure. Sometimes silence is the workshop where God prepares your strength, your character, and your faith for something far greater than you imagined. And if you look closely at the journey of faith, you will notice that even the strongest believers faced seasons where they could not see what God was doing. Yet behind the scenes everything was slowly being arranged for the right moment, because God rarely moves according to human timelines, He moves according to perfect timing, and that means delays in your life are not necessarily denials but preparations for something bigger than you expected. And maybe right now you are in a place where you feel stuck, where you have tried again and again but the results have not come, where you wake up every day with hope but go to sleep with questions, and that feeling can make your heart tired. But remember that growth often happens in hidden places, just like a seed grows underground long before anyone sees the plant above the surface, and in the same way your faith, your patience, and your inner strength are growing even if nobody around you notices it yet. Because God often builds people in private before He reveals them in public, and this is why many of the most powerful transformations in life begin in moments of loneliness and reflection rather than moments of celebration. Because when everything becomes quiet, you finally hear the voice that matters most, the voice of God guiding your heart and reminding you that your value does not come from applause or recognition but from the purpose placed inside you. And that purpose cannot be destroyed by delay, criticism, or failure, because what God has placed inside you is stronger than the obstacles around you, and sometimes the reason God allows you to walk through difficult seasons is so that you can discover a strength you did not know you had. Because comfort rarely builds courage but challenges do, and the battles you face today may be shaping the wisdom you will need tomorrow, and while it may feel painful in the moment, those experiences are preparing you to help others who will walk through similar struggles one day. Because the most powerful testimonies come from people who refused to give up when everything looked impossible, and maybe there were moments in your life when you thought about quitting, moments when you felt like the pressure was too heavy and the road was too long. But somehow you kept going even when you were tired, even when you were uncertain, and that perseverance is already proof that God is strengthening you step by step, because the journey of faith is not about never falling but about rising again every time you fall. And every time you stand up again you become stronger than before, and one day you will look back at the seasons that once made you cry and realize they were the same seasons that shaped your courage, your compassion, and your wisdom, because pain often becomes the teacher that prepares us for our purpose, and when the time finally comes for God to open the door that was meant for you, you will understand why the waiting was necessary. Because you will be ready in ways you were not ready before, and that is why you must protect your faith during the silent seasons, because doubt grows easily when answers are delayed, but faith grows when you choose to trust even without seeing the full picture. And trusting God in silence is one of the strongest forms of faith a person can have, because it means you believe that something meaningful is happening even when you cannot yet see the results, and throughout history many incredible breakthroughs happened after long periods of waiting, proving that patience is often the bridge between the promise and the fulfillment. And if you are walking through a silent season right now, remember that silence does not mean the story has ended, it simply means the next chapter is still being written. And sometimes the most beautiful chapters take time to develop because they require growth, healing, and preparation before they can unfold, and your life is no different, because the purpose inside you was never meant to disappear during hard times. It was meant to grow stronger through them, and the strength you gain in the quiet seasons will become the confidence you carry into your future, and one day when the opportunity finally arrives you will step forward with a level of faith that could only have been built through patience, struggle, and trust, and that moment will remind you that God was working the entire time, even when you could not see it, even when you questioned it, and even when you felt alone, because the silence you once feared was actually the space where your comeback was being prepared, and when that moment arrives you will understand that the waiting was never wasted, it was simply the path that led you exactly where you were meant to be.